Hey guys, hope you guys are enjoying this wet Wednesday because it's raining outside. Like, oh my god, where did this weather come from, right? But this is the part 2 of self sabotage. And in this particular segment, we are going to look at how to deal with someone that have self-sabotaging behaviors. Now, yesterday we covered, things that people do to self-sabotage their relationship or, different aspect of areas of their lives. It's funny because after I did that segment and trying to go to bed, I was actually thinking about that segment. I was thinking about the segment of self-sabotage and the segment of social anxiety. And the thing is, it's not even necessarily social anxiety, but anxiety in itself. And it dawned on me that anxiety and self-sabotage, they go hand in hand. It's almost impossible in a sense to say that when your anxiety kicks in, that you don't go into self-destructing mode sometimes. And if you don't recognize it in time, you won't be able to stop yourself until it's too late. And it dawned on me like, damn. Because, okay, honestly, I have been feeling anxious like for the whole month of October. Like from October kicked in, I have been feeling anxious. I have been really on edge about things, and honestly, I've tried to look for positive aspects to take my mind off my anxiety. And at times it works, and at times that it doesn't work, but I still find myself just being anxious about, everyday life, everyday things. And I don't know what's causing it. I don't know what's triggering it for me at the moment. But all I know is that I have been feeling really, 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 really anxious for the whole month. And it's almost like I'm on edge. It's almost like I can't control it. Even when I want to control it, it's impossible for me to get past it because I've just been in my head lately, just thinking and overthinking about so many different things all at once. Like my mind just has been racing. And usually when it's like that, if I were in a relationship, I would have been looking for a way out. I would have been purposely developing attitudes and not wanting to communicate with my person, and just outright being defiant, unsubmissive, and rebellious to the person that I'm with. It's a good thing that I'm not in a relationship with anybody, but even though that I'm not in a relationship, it's like the people around me and the people that are somewhat close to me still feel the effects of it, still feel the effects of me being anxious. And with all the anxiety that I have going on at the moment, I am trying so hard not to fall into a state of depression, because usually when my anxiety kicks in, then my depression is not too far behind. I start to feel depressed about certain things, and I just, retreat into myself and not, and not want to go to work, not want to socialize, not want to talk to anybody. I just want to be by myself. And that in itself is self-sabotaging in itself. It is self-destructive. It is not healthy. And I know that it's not healthy. And because I know that it's not healthy, I have been training my mind to think in a different aspect, to think of all the good things that I have going on for me, to look at all the positive aspects of my life, rather than to be anxious over situations that I basically have no type of control over. And it dawned on me after doing the segment and me, prepping to go to bed, I realized that anxiety and self-depression, they go hand in hand, or they're not far behind from each other, And so how would you deal with someone that displays those kind of traits? How do you handle that? How do you mentally and emotionally prepare yourself to handle dealing with someone like that? Because trust and believe, it can be hard. And if it's hard for you, you can imagine how overwhelming it is for the person that is basically going through these things and experiencing these things. It is hard. So the best way that we can handle people that displays self-sabotaging tendencies is to let them know off the bat that, hey, I see what you're doing, but not to say it in a hurtful way, but let it be known that you are on to them. Let them be known that I see and I understand what it is that you are trying to do. And no matter what I may say to you, you are only going to find an excuse to justify your behavior. But when you are ready to talk about what it is that is bothering you, then I'll be right here and ready to listen. That is the only way that you can, well, not the only way, but probably the best way that you can handle being with someone that for some odd reason self-sabotages themselves because they feel as though they are undeserving of love, or undeserving of happiness, or undeserving of this job, or undeserving just to have any good thing happen to them. Because usually when it's like that, it's because of past experiences within that person's life. So you have to reassure. We have to be able to reassure the people that is dealing with self-sabotaging and dealing with social anxiety, or any form of anxiety, period. We have to give them the reassurance that they need to know that everything is going to be okay. We just have to take a deep, calming breath assess the situation, and figure out the best way forward, the best solution together. It requires a whole lot of patience. It really do. And I know some of you are probably saying that, you know what, I don't have the patience to deal with that because that person is toxic and I don't have time to deal with the toxicity in my life or whatever. So I'm just gonna let it go and move on. And you will be well within your rights. You will be well within your rights to do so. We all have toxic traits. Every last one of us have toxic traits. We all have our flaws. But for someone that suffers with social anxiety, and sometimes we in ourselves have subconsciously done something in our lives that was self-destructive, and the end result was us losing what we had. So before you start to judge anybody to say, well, you know what, you don't have time to deal with the toxic, I can't remember say the word, with the toxicity of another person, you have to first determine the level of the behavior of the person. Because if it's a person that 90% of the time that you and this person are on great terms, this person is usually happy and vibrant and, always in a good mood or whatever. Because we have moments where we break down. Every last one of us have our moments where we break down. That's why I say assess the level of the toxicity that this person is displaying. Because if it's a rare occasion that these episodes occur, then you can have the patience to help them through it. And the thing is, the beautiful thing about all of this is that when a person that has social anxiety, because like I said before, social anxiety, when you start to be anxious about stuff, then you unknowingly at times do things that causes you to lose in the end. And if somebody that has anxiety or displays the self-sabotaging behaviors, to have someone not give up on them is the most beautiful thing that could ever happen in a person's life. Because now they know that they don't have to go through these emotions and these feelings alone. But it requires a whole lot of patience on the other person's part. You have to, and the thing is, when you care about somebody so much, you are willing to put in the work. Your tolerance and your patience level becomes so much more than what you thought it was. And 90% of the time is like people with anxiety, or that eventually leads to them self-sabotaging themselves, are usually people that is looking for some form of reassurance that whatever area in their lives are going to be okay. We just need to recognize the signs and recognize the cry for help, you know, not instantly judge a person and then give up on them. Because listen, a person that self-sabotages, if you can help them pinpoint the exact moment that you notice that their behavior start to change to the point where it's going to lead to something negative, and you point it out to them, you can basically help them stop right there in their tracks before they continue with it. If you say, hey, this is what you're doing, and I see what you're doing, but not do it in a judgmental manner, and your tone and the level in which you speak have to be gentle, or like in a tone of patience, as if you were speaking to a lost child. It's almost like in that sense that you have to speak to people that have an anxiety and people that display self-sabotaging behaviors. You have to let them know that I recognize what you're doing. This is what you're doing. And I know you're going to make excuses for it or whatever, but I just want you to know that I see what you're doing. It's going to trigger something in their minds to say, hey, you know what? I'm starting to see it too. And before they can continue in their self-sabotaging ways, you will find that they will stop dead in their tracks. At first, they're going to make excuses. Definitely, they're going to be like, no, I'm not doing that. They're not going to agree with you. Of course, they're going to make excuses. But by you pointing it out, you are giving them something to think about before they can continue, so that they can decide that, am I going to stop and relax and enjoy the moment? Or am I going to continue in my self-destructive behaviors? But it has to be someone that is willing, because you cannot force something on somebody that doesn't want it. So we have to be patient with ourselves, and we have to be patient with the other person that we are dealing with. Because the person that is actually experiencing those emotions at that moment is going to need someone that is patient, caring, and understanding to help guide them out of the darkness of their minds. But again, that person has to be willing. That person has to be willing. So the most effective way of dealing with somebody that self-sabotages is to simply point it out. Point it out and give them room to think. And they will come to you and apologize. And while they start to talk to you about their concerns and then their worries and, what led to them starting to behave that way, because a lot of times a person cannot recognize that they are doing something that is self-destructive. Sometimes it's conscious. You are very conscious of the things that you are doing, because like if you're in a situation and you want out and it is not working for you and you want a way out, then you are going to do things to make a way out for you. That is someone that is conscious in their self-sabotaging ways. But for many of us that are unaware of the self-sabotaging behaviors that we at times display without being conscious, then you, the person looking in from the outside, can say, hey, this needs to stop. What you're doing, this needs to stop. Very much like what my friend kind of did when she pointed it out. As far as I was concerned, I wasn't really doing anything that I deemed self-destructive. I didn't think that I was doing anything out of the way that would have hindered my progress as far as meeting people or allowing somebody to get close enough to me and getting to know me in a personal level. I wasn't fully aware that I was doing that until she kind of pointed it out suggestively. So in a sense, those of us looking from the outside in, that has a better view to assess the situation and what's going on, you can point it out to your friend or to your loved one and say, hey, be careful of what you're doing. Be careful of the path that you are taking right now, because it can be destructive to you. It can be self-sabotaging to you. So sometimes we need another person, we need a third party to come in and shake us up a little bit, to say, hey, catch yourself. Catch yourself before you wreck yourself. So it's almost like when you point out that you are onto the antics, that you notice what a person is doing to self-sabotage what they have going on, you can give them that wake-up call. You can give them that wake-up call because they may not be aware of what they are doing. So that is like the number one way that we can deal or handle someone that is self-sabotaging. That is the best way. Patience and pointing it out. And whilst you're pointing it out, remind them that, hey, I am here for you. That reassurance is golden. Always remind the person that, hey, I am here for you. Whenever you are ready to talk about it, I will be ready to listen. So I just wanted to touch on it lately, because these topics can go on for hours, because it's not one way. It's like it's multi-dimensional, and me myself not being an expert can't really address all of the different aspects and different areas that these topics covers. But I can only speak based of my own personal experiences or from my own personal observations. And me being a person that loves the solitude, to sit down and think and to reflect, I just wanted to share what I came up with. And I'm not opposed to correction because I don't know everything. I am not opposed to listening and understanding another person's point of view, because your perspective, though it may be different from mine, may very well be very beneficial to me. That can help me in a different aspect, in a different area in my life, that I can put into practice so that I can grow and become a better person. So I'm not opposed to another person's opinions, whether they agree or if they object with what I have to say, as long as the information is being related in a honest, non-judgmental, respectable way. I am open to hear it, ready to listen, and ready to learn. Because how else am I going to overcome the struggles that I'm battling with internally? So we all have a role to play. The person, whether you are an introvert with social anxiety that leads to self-sabotaging, regardless of where you fit in any of those categories, you have to be open to what information is being given to you. We cannot take it as an attack, because when another person comes to us with valuable information pertaining to the destructive behaviors that we all tend to display at times, you cannot look at it or take it as a personal attack, because if it wasn't worth mentioning, they would not have brought it to your attention. And if they didn't care about you in such a way, then again, they would not have presented it to you. But you have to be open and not take everything as a personal attack and to get angry and be defiant and reject the advice or the information that is being given to you for your self-growth. And also, the person that is delivering said information have to be mindful and be very careful in the manner and the tone in which you relate this information, because you don't want to come off as being insincere. You don't want to come off as though you are being judgmental of this person simply because they are not acting or behaving in a manner in which you approve of. And the best way, personally, I feel that each of us can learn to speak to a person that is hurting or going through something in a more sympathetic manner is to simply put yourself in that person's shoes for a quick minute. Because when you start to imagine yourself in this person's position and you start to say, hey, how would I feel if I was in that position? Then you can start to understand the person's reactions or the way the person may feel at that moment. And then you can say, hey, I would want someone to be patient with me. I would want someone to speak gently and kindly to me. Because when you start to judge another person and you speak to them too harshly, you can do more damage than good. So when you start to trade places in a sense, and you start to understand the feeling, and you in yourself know how you would want another person to deal with you and to handle you and to speak to you, you must then do that for another person. So the messenger have to understand that whilst you are delivering very important, valuable information to the person that is struggling, you have to be mindful in the way the message is delivered. Because if you want it to be receptive, then your delivery have to be sincere, non-judgmental to the person. So I just wanted to finish off that topic of self-sabotaging with that, because yesterday, I just rambled on and on and on and on and on and on. And I didn't want to put you guys through that. So I thought I'll make that a two series segment. And that is my conclusion on self-sabotaging. And I want to thank you guys so much for listening, and tune in next time to True Reflection as I reflect on the differences of jealousy and territorial. So stay tuned. God bless.